In Hungarian tellings from the Pannonian Plain to the Carpathian foothills, the white stag is not merely an animal. It is a sign. The kind of sign that appears when the world is about to ask something of you that maps and mothers cannot prepare you for. This is the story of three brothers who hunted such a stag and followed it past the edge of the country they knew. Two rushed. One waited. At the center of the tale is not the chase, but a sleeping princess, and a curse that could only be broken by the brother who understood that some doors open only at dawn. If you remember anything, remember hoofprints in silver grass, three gates in a hollow hill, and a young man who sat beside a stranger's sleep until the light was honest enough to touch her face. The three brothers lived in a house where the eldest kept the accounts, the middle kept the horses, and the youngest, born at the hour of dawn and therefore called Hajnal, kept the kind of patience that annoys older men until it saves them. On a morning when the mist had already burned off the fields, they rode into the oak forest to hunt boar. The light was clean and gold. Birds called without fear. Then the underbrush parted and a stag stepped into the clearing. Not brown, not gray, but white as river foam in sun, with antlers like branches of light. No one spoke. The eldest nocked an arrow. The middle raised his bow. Hajnal lowered his without being told to. The stag looked at them once, not with fear, but with the calm of something that has already decided where the story goes, and ran. They followed. That is always how these tales begin, not with a command, but with motion. The stag did not tire. The brothers did, and did not admit it. They crossed streams that should have led them home and did not. They passed standing stones their grandfather had never mentioned. The forest thinned until the trees themselves looked uncertain, as if they were the last soldiers of a country ending. At midday, they came to a hollow where the ground opened into a bowl of green so bright it hurt honest eyes. The stag stood on the far rim, visible as a flame against dark pines. Then it leaped down into mist that was not mist but the breath of another world. The eldest said they had gone far enough. The middle said a man who turns back before the prize is in hand is no man at all. Hajnal said nothing. He marked where the hoofprints entered the hollow and followed them when the others descended. The air changed, sound became thick. Distance lied. They were no longer in the Hungary they could name on a cartographer's page. At the bottom of the hollow stood a hill of smooth earth with three doors cut into it side by side, one of copper, one of silver, one of gold. Each shone in the strange daylight as if it had been polished that morning by hands that did not sleep. The eldest chose gold at once. Gold, he said, is where kingdoms hide their best treasure. He pushed the door and stepped through. His shout came back once, then silence. Then the door sealed itself as if it had never opened. The middle chose copper, because his brother had taken gold and pride requires a different answer. He too vanished behind a closing door. Hajnal stood before the silver gate. He listened. From behind gold and copper came nothing useful. From behind silver, he heard a breath so slow it might have been the hill itself sleeping. He waited until his pulse matched it. Then he placed his palm on cool metal and walked in without running. Beyond the silver gate lay a castle in a meadow of tall grass and clear light. No smoke rose from its chimneys. No guard walked the walls. The doors stood open the way doors stand open in a house where everyone has lain down at once and forgotten to wake. Hajnal walked hall after hall. Hounds slept mid-snarl on rugs. Servants slept upright with trays in their hands. In the last chamber, on a bed of ivory and blue linen, a princess slept with her dark hair spread like a river across the pillow. Her face was peaceful in the way a locked door is peaceful. On the wall above her hung an inscription in old Hungarian letters. She sleeps until one who does not take sights until the hour that gave him his name. Wake her with greed and join the sleep. Wake her with haste and join the stone. Hajnal understood then why the stag had led them here. The curse was not a monster to be killed. It was a test disguised as stillness. Night in that castle was not dark the way human nights are dark. It was a blue twilight that kept everything visible, as if the curse wanted no one to claim ignorance. Hajnal sat beside the princess and did not touch the rings on her fingers. He did not lift the crown from the chair nearby. He did not take so much as a cup of water, though his throat burned. 3 times a shape came to the door. Now a wolf, now a storm of wings, now his eldest brother's voice calling that gold lay in the next room and only a fool would sit with the sleeping woman while treasure waited. Hajnal did not answer. Waiting, he was beginning to see, was not emptiness. It was the hardest work in the castle. The princess did not move. The inscription did not change. Hours pass the way hours pass in stories where one wrong choice would turn flesh to stone and right choice into a wedding no one had planned. When the first true light entered, not the blue twilight of the curse, but ordinary gold morning, Hajnal stood and touched the princess lightly on the hand with his empty palm. She drew breath as if surfacing from a deep well. Color returned to her cheeks. The hounds downstairs stirred. A servant dropped a tray and laughed at his own clumsiness because laughter was allowed again. The princess sat up and looked at Hajnal with eyes that had seen centuries pass in a single sleep. "My name is Ilona," she said. "Who are you that you could wait?" He told her. She listened without interrupting, a skill of people who have had only dreams for company. The copper gate opened and the middle brother stumbled out, gray as ash, alive but humbled. The gold gate opened and the eldest fell to his knees, weeping at what he had seen inside his greed. Not treasure, but mirrors of everything he had taken without asking. Ilona placed her hand on the eldest's head and did not mock him. "The curse," she said, "was laid by a stepmother who wanted the kingdom for her own children. It broke when someone proved the kingdom could be approached without theft." The white stag appeared on the ridge outside the window, watched once, and was gone. They climbed out of the hollow into the Hungary they knew, though the grass seemed greener after the other country. Ilona rode beside Hajnal. The brothers rode behind, not equal in pride anymore, but equal in the fact of return. At the king's hall, for Ilona was a king's daughter, there was feasting in broad daylight. Windows stood open. Torches were not needed. Hajnal married the princess who woke at his hour. The eldest kept the accounts with a gentler hand. The middle kept the horses and did not boast. Hunters still speak of a white stag on the rim of certain forests. Some say it leads the greedy into hollow hills. Some say it leads the patient into their own lives again. Hungarian tellers keep both versions because a sign that means only one thing would be too small for the world. If you remember anything, remember that the silver gate opened for the brother who listened, and that Ilona woke when the light was finally honest. This was Forgotten Fables. This was the White Stag, the Hungarian tale of 3 gates, a sleeping princess, and the hunt that ended in waiting.